Okay, I believe that I am live. This is my second live stream that I'm doing, so bear with me as I just check some of the technical stuff and ensure that everything is coming across smoothly. I'm pretty excited to talk about my thoughts on the Mace Windu rework now that it's live in the game. I have not yet actually done any testing myself. I did watch Arnold's stream where he did some testing, and there's one pretty major thing, and I feel like I've been deceived. I don't know, I'll talk about it. There's a really big point that I want to make. So it has to do with the resilient defense, which was core to a lot of the interactions that I was thinking of. So at the end of each turn, if another ally with protection was damaged by an attack, Mace gains 3 stacks of resilient defense for the rest of the encounter if he has not gained resilient defense that way since his last turn. And enemies will target this unit and lose 1 stack when damaged by an attack. So this verbiage that's being used for the rest of the encounter, when I think about other buffs or debuffs that have that verbiage for the rest of the encounter, I can think of a debuff offhand, Armor Shred, that has very similar verbiage. And I think Gideon has Armor Shred, Sabine, somebody, here we go. Inflict Armor Shred for the rest of the battle. And that debuff cannot be cleansed off, like it's locked on there. And I think, you know, part of this maybe stems from, you know, when I was younger I played card games, and a big one I played was Yu-Gi-Oh! And that game had a very specific way card effects were written so that there could be a universal understanding of how all the cards interact with each other and, you know, what cards can do. So, you know, activated effects versus, you know, targeting effects, and there's a very specific way all of these effects were written so that players who understood that could understand how the interactions worked. And I feel like I'm missing something with the effects in this Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes game, because I don't understand this at all. Basically, actually, let's watch it together. I'll play a clip from Arnold's stream where we can see all of this playing out. Let me see here if I can switch screens cleanly. We'll go Chrome. Okay. So Mace Windu's here, and okay. So people with protection were hit. He got his 3 stacks. He got hit once. He's up 2 stacks. So they're gonna go. He still has 2 stacks. He still has 2 stacks. He gets hit, and his stacks are gone. Notice that was not the basic. That was Kylo Ren's special. And so let's go back into the game and walk through what happened. So with Mace's passive, he gained 3 stacks for the rest of the encounter as described in this skill. So let's look at Kylo Ren to understand, or SLKR, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. And he did his Stasis Strike. Dispel all buffs on all enemies. Now if it was his basic, on his basic he deals physical damage twice, so that might explain why he had 2 stacks and that went to 0, because it actually gets hit twice. And so those 2 instances of damage would have taken his stacks from 2 to 0. That would make sense. But it's this buff dispel that just completely dispelled it. And so for me, that changes a lot with my initial impressions. Now, I want to be super, super clear. The rework is still great. Mace Windu's a good character now. You want to build, you want to have him in your roster. But I think in terms of how overpowered that I was anticipating he was going to be, based on the fact that I did not think that you could just dispel the resilient defense, I think that changes how powerful he is. So he's a very good tank now. He's not borderline overpowered, because my thought was you throw a bunch of tenacity on him, make it really hard for him to get stunned or dazed or shocked, and all of a sudden your opponent has to deal with it in a real way. Whereas now they can just dispel it, because remember, and you can watch my first live stream where I went over everything and talked in pretty great detail, but hold on for just 1 minute. My batteries are running low, so I've got to plug in. Let's plug that in. And I've got to charge my iPad. I probably should have been a little bit more prepared, but okay, I've got one more thing here. Okay, everything is charging now. Yes, I was talking about the interaction here. So while he has resilient defense, let's just I guess we have to go here. He has 100% counter chance. And on his basic, he gains, wait, 5% turn meter. I thought it was supposed to be 15. Oh, here we go. He gains 15. Okay, there we go. Yeah, if you max out the skill, or if you get it to level 4, yeah, he gains 15. So on his basic, he gains 15% turn meter, and he's going to get 3 stacks. He's going to get 3 stacks just by hitting anybody else who has protection, and then he's going to gain 2 stacks from this skill, as long as he targets the person who has Shatter Point. So he's going to get 5 stacks. He's going to cycle back around to his turns. That was going to be great, but now that they can just dispel that altogether, that's significantly less powerful, I think. And so my initial analysis of not putting Mace Windu under Kenobi or Padme, like, these were setups that I did not like as much, because they shut down the turn meter game. And that whole theory hinged on the fact that you couldn't just dispel the resilient defense. So now that we can dispel resilient defense, it becomes a lot more attractive to put Mace Windu on these teams. So something to consider. I'm going to go ahead, and I haven't had a chance to really test Mace or power him up, but I'll go ahead and upgrade him now to a certain extent. I'll give him that. And I'll upgrade this. And I think we want to take this to 7 only. I probably do want that Zeta. I'm actually not even going to touch his lead. I don't know if all of his Zetas are going to be worth applying, like right now. And Mace has resilient defense. He has plus 100 or plus 10% offense per stack and 100% counter chance. That's a good Zeta. I'll want to put that on eventually, but I'm actually probably gonna hold off for right now. Because I still have 2 Zetas I need to put on General Skywalker. Yeah, I'll chill. I'll think more about it. So yeah, that's Mace Windu. And the disappointment that I had. I did play Grand Arena earlier. We were able to get the win. Our opponent, we were punching up in galactic power by a lot. If we just sort by speed, actually. A big reason why we were able to win is because their fastest non-GL character was 285, which is not great. It's not great at all. They actually didn't even attack. Can look at it. So they never even attacked. We got stuck on their fleet. And that was that. Sith rate is up. Let's jump in. I'll jump in. Now my Sith raid team that I like to run, I actually like to bump Kylo Ren unmasked and put a First Order officer in. Because what we want to do is get as many turns I want to get as many turns for SLKR as we can. This run will be, actually won't even demonstrate the full capabilities because people have already done damage on the beginning step. But we stab, we pass the turn, and it's all about building up the stacks of siphon as quickly as possible. So here we want speed up, and we're just doing basics because the basic gives him some we give some stacks. So here we go. And we've got our ultimate up. So we're just going to go right into our ult. I'm going to give him the turn. And for the first ultimate, I actually do the stabs every time. Now I want to keep an eye on that countdown. I get speed up. And I'll do the stacks. And we're going to go back into our ult. His countdown is on 1, so on his next turn, call the assist. And now this is where we're just going to start swiping. And so now we have enough stacks where we're going to start really getting a lot out of the siphons. So here we go, we'll stab. We're just going to go back into our ultimate. We can stab, and people are dying, but the key to this is really just getting through the first wave. In order to do that, you just want the team to push as many turns to SLKR as possible, and you can get the win. I know there are many ways to do it. That's how I've had the most success. So Scion's actually relatively easy. We're just going to stab, do our basics. We'll go into it so we can get 3 more stabs as soon as possible. So really what I like to do, the key is to get my stacks up to about 200. Then we can start siphoning. Here we go for another ult. And we just do lots of damage. So in our ult, the siphon stacks are doubled, so we're getting a lot. Yep, we'll stab, we'll swipe. It should just kill everybody. So yeah, I mean, this phase is not very challenging at all. Just because there's just not that much damage. Let me just go right back into our alt. Now we're up to 820, and we're going to make pretty short work of Scion here. Now we are coming up against the doomsday clock here, but you'll see we'll do that and just the massive damage. There's just not enough time for them to finish us off. Down he goes. So, I mean, yeah, anyone with SLKR, you can solo this. The first stage is the only stage that gives any real trouble. The other stages are relatively easy. You do have to just watch the Annihilate skill in the last phase, but so again, I like to focus on just getting the stacks up to 200 as quickly as possible. But if you kill all those lightsabers, then Kreia takes the seat. Yeah, we'll go. Now remember, our stacks are doubled while we're in our ultimate, so the 260 is really 130. So we just want to get those 2 more hits in. So now we're at 210. And now we can, when we're in our ultimate, our priority is going to be on the swipe. So once I get past 200 stacks, when I get to 210, I start doing the swipe whenever it's available. Whereas before I get there, I'm either doing a basic or the stab. I actually don't know if that's the optimum. That's just where I've had the most success, just from anecdotal experience. The stacks get pretty high pretty quickly. We do watch that doomsday clock. I mean, we're already starting to make an impact. So I'll stab, we'll see what kind of damage we're doing, where it's okay damage. And so I'm going to do something a little bit different. We'll get there. So I'll be able to hit her and then go into my ult, and she's not going to be able to get up. So if you're ever coming down to that doomsday clock and it's a little bit close, you can just delay going into your ult, let that doomsday clock hit 0, then go into your ult. You'll get 3 extra turns, which is always going to be more than enough. So we're back into it here. And again, I'm doing stabs all around until I get to 210 over 200. So that's where I'm going to do the basic. And we're just watching the cooldown on the Annihilate. So I do want to get some more crits in, so I'm gonna do the sweep there, because I want to get my ultimate charged up. Alright, so I'll do one more poke. So now I'm at 200. So when I go into my ult, I'll be at 400, and I can just start siphoning away. We'll do our siphon. Now we want to not lose track of that Annihilate ability. And this is where it starts to get tricky, because this reduces his cooldown. So we want to be really careful as he starts to get close. So he's about to take a turn. He's going to reduce that cooldown. So that cooldown is at 2. Okay, it's at 1, so maybe it didn't reduce the cooldown. I think I missed something on that interaction, but it's okay. The important thing is it's at 1. So there we go. We get around to another turn. Now when Nihilus goes, he's going to annihilate us. So we have to go into our ultimate a little bit early here. And then we're just back to it. Now the nice thing is that we're not going to have to deal with another Annihilate from Nihilus. So I'm just going to get to work on Scion. That should take care of Nihilus there. We're starting to do real damage. So now we're in danger of finishing the raid, and we want to look at what our guild is talking about. So they want to hold the kill until 9:45. So we're just going to chill. We're not going to prematurely do anything. And I'm going to go to they released the State of the Galaxy on the forums, and so let me switch out to that screen. Or what is it, the road ahead? So I haven't had a chance to read this, so I'm just going to take a minute and read. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I wonder exactly how that's going to work, though. So even after you, I wonder, like, when you set them, you can still edit them, it looks like. Because that'll be nice. So I guess my question is this what they're showing here? Is this kind of just like a blueprint that you set and then it gets applied when the Grand Arena round starts? Or are these just like, is this the actual Grand Arena? You can set defense and then like edit and change them around? Or is this an edit of like a blueprint or almost like a squad? Yeah, being able to see the Omicrons was huge. It was much needed. So yeah, the Grand Inquisitor, yeah, okay, so I mean all of that is stuff that we heard about. There's nothing particularly surprising or shocking in there. We still have 3 minutes to kill. The Sith raid. So a big part of being in a guild and being a good guild member, besides the normal stuff, participate in the events. I guess when I say participate in the events, part of participating is interacting. So you know, when we have events like the Sith Raid, we everybody wants to be able to get in, post some damage, you know, and get good rewards. So it's important that we're always communicating, and we're seeing, you know, some people are saying, hey, wait, I haven't been able to get into the game yet. And that's just what we're doing right now, is just waiting. We're giving everybody time to jump in and post some damage. So while we're doing that, we can browse. Yeah, I actually thought my account got hacked into earlier today. Oh, wow. Yeah, I was just one of the lucky people who happened to try to get in during those 30 seconds. That's crazy. Okay. Look at the event calendar and see. So all the upcoming Grand Arenas are 5v5. It's interesting. So if we go back to the forums, let's look in general discussion. It looks like a lot of people took to the forums when they had issues getting into the game earlier. Yeah, so I think this is the wrong attitude for this person to have. And I think, first off, we saw, who was it? I don't know, somebody on their stream. I think it was on Heinz's stream when he was talking about the Mace Windu updates. They tried to solo, well, they were directed to attempt a solo. I guess he didn't try it on his own accord, but he was directed to attempt a solo against rebel fighters with the Wampa, and it failed. So I think that says something about, you know, if you do have the high relics and the right mods and the right characters, I guess it depends on which rebel fighter team you're talking about, but Yeah, I mean, I think the right attitude for this person to have is not, oh my gosh, the Wampa can just solo the specific Rebel fighter team that I have. It's, you have that knowledge that the Wampa can solo your Rebel fighter team, so you think about, one, if does your opponent have it? Two, what other teams do they use that on? And you could, for example, on the front wall, if they use a Wampa solo for multiple teams, you could on the front wall bait out one of those teams. On the back wall, put your Rebel fighters, or you could just take it on offense. I mean, I think Monmouth works against a few different teams on offense, but not everybody has the Wampa just in general. And of the people who have him, not everybody have him at a high enough relic to really get in there. And solo teams, not everyone's going to have the Omicron on there. I mean, there's a lot to get into, but part of the game is that things are always updating and changing. It's not static, and I think the difference between a true the difference between a highly successful player and somebody who is moderately successful is that ability to adapt as the game changes. And so you just have to look at these types of opportunities and try to adjust your strategy to accommodate for that. And by the way, why not start working on Wampa yourself, So this is I guess exactly the kind of negativity that I really don't like seeing in the community, and I do see a lot of negativity in the community. So, all right, we should be able to get back in and kill the Sith raid here. Down she goes. All right. I think I'm going to end the stream here, actually. I'll get a chance to kind of watch it back, just make sure the sound is working and some of the basic stuff works as intended. And yeah, I don't really have a whole lot else to go over. I do think I'm going to try to record a standalone video, both on really succinctly talking about my thoughts on the resilient defense component of Mace Windu's kit. And then I actually think I want to make a standalone video specifically about that post that we looked at. So